If project management is the discipline that enables us to get big, complex things done in a controlled manner, then I'd say that risk management is the set of activities that try to prevent things from happening. Bad things, disruptive things, maybe even devastating things. Risk management is a little like time travel. It forces you to envisage the future and all the things that can go wrong. Then, when your thoughts return to the present, you can be proactive and try to reduce their impact, or even stop them from happening entirely. In fact, risk management gets easier the more you think this way. There's even an approach called the project pre-mortem that requires you to think about the project as though it's already failed. And then you ask yourself, how did this happen? And you start to consider the most likely causes of the failure. Then you can start to create strategies for removing or reducing them. So anyway, risk is about uncertainty in projects, which, according to the textbooks, includes positive uncertainties where something good may happen. But to be honest, after nearly 20 years in this career, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone in business talking about exploiting positive risks. Anyway, I don't have much time, so rather than having to keep explaining that I'm referring to negative uncertainties, let's just agree that all risks are negative. They're threats with potentially undesirable outcomes for our projects, our organisations, or maybe even for us.
Stuart, here is your reminder. Fetch the laundry.
Some people get confused about the difference between risks and issues. As I said earlier, risk is about uncertainty. Something may go wrong. Something may have a negative outcome. An issue is different in that it's certain. It's either certain to happen or it has already happened. In the case of issues, most of the time you have to act fast to resolve them, but dealing with issues takes a lot of effort. It can be very distracting, and the nature of the issue itself can sometimes be very damaging to the project. And let's not forget, if you're constantly firefighting, you won't appear to be in control of your project, which will undermine confidence in your ability to successfully deliver the project. So the best way to avoid all of that misery is to be proactive and manage risks before they happen. And that's where risk management comes in. What can be measured can be managed, so they say. So we spend a lot of time applying measures to risk. One measure that we need is to understand the chance of the threat occurring if unmanaged. So for this, you can use probability or likelihood, depending on your organisation's preference. Now, without getting too into the weeds on this, probability is more mathematical with a percentage or fraction score. Likelihood is helpful when precise data is unavailable, so you can use relative terms like high, medium, and low. Another measure we use is impact. This is the measure of how damaging the risk event would be. It could be minor, barely an inconvenience, all the way up to severe, catastrophic even. When talking about the risk, it's a good idea to refer to that impact so the audience appreciates what's at stake if the risk takes place. Another measure used for risks is proximity. This one's a little tricky though, because it relates to time, specifically when we think the risk could materialise. That could be an exact date when certain conditions are met. So, a calendar can be really handy. Oh, that's good. It's my 10th wedding anniversary in a couple of weeks. I'll need some gift ideas. Sorry. Proximity, yeah. It could include a time range, or it could even be imminent. The 10th wedding anniversary is the tin anniversary. If I get her a tin present, I'm definitely going to be at risk. To manage a risk, you may seek to reduce the impact so that if the risk does occur, it causes less damage or disruption. Sometimes that's not possible though. You can also work to reduce or remove entirely the chances of the event from happening and lower that likelihood. In my experience, that tends to be the most common approach. This can sometimes enable us to completely avoid the risk. Now listen very carefully to this part because it's important. You can't expect too much from yourself. You can extend your knowledge and your imagination to their limits. You can and you should consult your colleagues and stakeholders to explore the possible risks and responses. But sometimes the unexpected will just happen, and events outside of your control will materialize. Sometimes bad things will just happen, and it's nobody's fault, and nobody could predict or prevent it. So don't go too hard on yourself when it happens. We can all fall victim to the unexpected.